So how do we use language knowledge to communicate with each other with certain types of information, right? And can we help machines do it too, or do it with human-like ability? So let's consider this utterance, actually. Come on, don't you think this is awesome? All right, well, let's look at the information here. We have an exclamation, come on, just some sort of excitement. Don't you think this is awesome? The structure is a yes-no question where the answer is yes, you think this is awesome, or no, you don't think this is awesome. It's a yes-no question structure. So it's the kind of, you're asking, ostensibly you're asking a question. Now you, who is you? You is whoever you're talking to, right? That's the addressee. And think is some sort of mental state. That's what it's talking about when you're thinking. And awesome maybe is like, super, super, super good. These have certain meanings that are associated with them. And we might think then about this. Well, this is something that varies depending on the context you're in. The discourse is sort of the fancy term for conversation. So something that's salient, something that's very apparent to your conversational partners in the context, in your discourse. And maybe it's this really adorable penguin, right? So don't you think this is awesome? And we're talking, we're looking at the penguin, somehow making clear that this refers to a penguin. So this is core, I might think of as sort of core meaning information that's communicated by this utterance. But there's also more subtle information that's communicated here. So for example, the speaker likely has a persuasive intention, like come on, and don't you think, are certain turns of phrase that indicate often an intention to persuade. And if the speaker, for example, actually doesn't like penguins for some reason, he could be intending, say, to ingratiate himself with the addressee by saying this using, deception. He's intending to deceive. That could be an intention that underlies this utterance. Now, at face value, if you just take this on the surface, the speaker seems to have a good feeling about penguins, a very positive sentiment, if you will, by saying, don't you think this is awesome? I feel very awesomely about penguins, right? And the casual style of speaking, the come on and the choice of awesome, right, is a sort of a casual term, maybe suggests familiarity with the addressee, with whoever this person's talking to, and maybe indicates, therefore, something about the speaker's identity in relationship to that addressee, or maybe just in general because of the word choices that they're using, the style that they choose to communicate in. So this kind of more subtle information about intentions or emotions and attitudes or identity is also communicated, and our knowledge of language use therefore involves communicating both what we might consider core information as well as subtle information. What we would like, especially with AI, is to have machines be able to do this just as well as humans do. It's one of the goals, I think, in natural language processing, and again in artificial intelligence and AI more generally.